Hey everybody, David Alter here for Rink Toronto, presented by Bodog. Make a play at Canada's choice for free casino games, sports odds, and poker strategies. And tonight, the Toronto Maple Leafs resume their 2022-2023 schedule here in Columbus to take on the Blue Jackets. It is the first of a back-to-back home and home. They'll play the Blue Jackets at Scotiabank Arena on Saturday. And a lot of news came from the Toronto Maple Leafs' first practice following the break on Thursday. Auston Matthews was back on the ice. Remember, 2 weeks ago, he had a knee sprain, and number 34 actually went into details about how it happened, said in preparing for that game against the New York Rangers, he tweaked it in the warm-up. And so it just got progressively worse as the night went along. And so as a result of that, they took some pictures. The end result was that he was going to be out for a minimum of 3 weeks. He's been out for 2 weeks, but he's back on the ice, skating with the Maple Leafs in a red non-contact jersey. He's not on this trip because it's a one-off, but he is on the mend and looking like he could be back soon. There is no direct timeline, although he's not expected back for the remainder of the week. And so as a result of that, Alex Kerfoot will move up to play second-line center, as he has. I spoke to him a few moments ago. You know, he's really kind of found his groove as of late after some struggles to put up some points on the board, and perhaps that increased role and responsibility on the second line could be a boon for someone like Alex Kerfoot. So the big news yesterday, trade deadline talk. Of course, the trade deadline is March 3rd, and Kyle Dubas held court with the media for about 15 minutes and talked about what the Leafs are going to look at going in. He's looking to improve the forwards, the defense. The big names are probably not on the radar for the Toronto Maple Leafs because of the cost for a, quote, rental player. That's one where a player's coming back and they're only going to be with the team for one playoff push and a little bit more. Historically, Kyle Dubas, whenever he's given up that first round pick, it's usually been for someone who's got at least an additional year of term. That was the case when the Leafs acquired Jake Muzzin back in 2019. And Jake Muzzin was a player that the Maple Leafs were kind of looking at earlier in the season when he went down with the cervical spine issue. But Dubas said that given the way that the team's defense has stepped up, they've kind of replaced him by committee. And so they don't really necessarily need to go for a top four D-man like Jake Muzzin. And as for Muzzin and his cervical spine issue, remember, he hasn't played since Game 4 of the season. He's scheduled for a follow-up meeting in a couple of weeks to determine if he can continue his NHL career or not. The results of that, we're being told, are going to be kept internally, but it'll be pretty obvious to see if Jake Muzzin returns to the ice this season or not. So leave a comment below if you think the Leafs are good with the way they are right now, or maybe a suggestion of who you would like to see. There's a lot of debate about who the Leafs should grab between now and the March 3rd deadline. But it looks like they're not looking for a David Riddick-like player like they did in 2021. And Kyle Dubas, in the final year of his contract, isn't necessarily looking to cash in all his chips and swing for the fences here. He's just looking for modest improvements to help the club, who currently sits second in the Atlantic Division. Ilya Samsonov will get the start. The plan is for Joseph Woll to make his season debut tomorrow in the back half of the home and home, although Sheldon Keefe did say that that decision won't be confirmed until Saturday morning. Alex Steeves will make his season debut. He played a few games for the Toronto Maple Leafs last season. Was a bit surprised he wasn't one of the earlier call-ups from the Marlies. He's just hoping to make an impact on that fourth line, which is where he'll draw in for the Maple Leafs tonight. And Connor Timmins yesterday signed a 2-year extension worth $1.1 million per season. The defenseman was acquired back in November in that trade for prospect Curtis Douglas. And Sheldon Keefe and Kyle Dubas singing the praises of this defenseman, who really came in, stepped up, played 18 games for the Maple Leafs, put up 12 points on the board. So a really good depth add for the Maple Leafs while they were going through defensive injuries. And so that's why he was rewarded with a brand new 2-year contract. Myself and Rob Wong will have your post-game show. Make sure you rate and subscribe on all your favorite podcast platforms to Rink Wide Toronto, presented by Bodog, Canada's home for casino games and sports odds, where everyone goes to play. Rink Wide Toronto, pre-game, post-game, every game.